Am I the asshole for refusing to move into a house if I'm not a co-owner? I, 27F, have been with Ben, 29M, for 1.5 years. We agreed if we got married we'd have a prenup and keep our finances separate. He was clear from day one he would never want to combine them. Ben bought a 5-bedroom house. He lives with friends and calculates their rent by dividing the mortgage by the number of people living in the house. His mortgage is high in part because it's a 15-year mortgage, he had a bad credit score, and his down payment was small. This also doesn't give Ben any money to maintain the house. He uses credit cards and payday loans for urgent house repairs. Ben doesn't agree with my decision to prioritize my savings over paying off my subsidized student loans. Things he thinks I should stop doing until I'm debt-free. I contribute to a 401k to maximize an employer match benefit. My checking and savings have 6 months of income. I'm building an investment account I might eventually use to buy a house. Ben has suggested I drain these accounts and use the money for debt repayment. He thinks I need to be more like him. At the end of the month all of his extra money goes towards debt. He doesn't seem to care about the amount of debt I have, just that it exists and I could be paying it off faster. I'm a database administrator, my debt-to-income ratio is low, and my credit score is excellent. Recently Ben has been saying it's a waste of money for us to have 2 places and suggested I move in with him. We don't stay at his house often because of his roommates. I don't like his house and would rather keep my apartment. He argues the money I spend on rent is money we could be saving. I wouldn't be saving money and I'd need to buy a car. The house is expensive for reasons I wouldn't benefit from and it's big. I don't want to live with someone unless we are renting a place together or own a place together. I'm uncomfortable with him being the sole owner of the house we live in. He'd control how much we'd both have to spend on housing and what changes, upgrades are made. I want us to contribute equally and have an equal say in the decisions. He says we can't rent a place together because paying rent is money down the drain. And we can never own a house together because we agreed to have separate finances. I thought separate finances meant we could eventually buy a house as long as we split the down payment and mortgage 50-50. He thinks owning a house together is combining finances. I said that's fine, he can someday move into a house I own. He said that was ridiculous as I don't know when I'll be ready to buy a house. He said I have no valid reason for refusing to live in a house just because he owns it and this would force him to either go back to renting or combine finances with me. He especially doesn't want to co-own a house with me because I'm irresponsible with debt. Am I the asshole for agreeing to separate finances and now being unwilling to live in a house I don't own? He says we can't rent a place together because paying rent is money down the drain. And we can never own a house together because we agreed to have separate finances. He's just told you that you two are incompatible financially. Not the asshole, and it's time to seriously consider the longevity of this relationship. Not the asshole. Seems like he has major control issues to me. If it doesn't work out, you end up homeless. He wants to keep finances separate, but seems to have a hell of a lot to say about your financial decisions. Hell no, this is a hill to die on. Info. How are we saving money if you have separate finances? We isn't separate. And who has the high credit score and who has the low credit score thinking face with rolling eyes, and why does the low credit score person feel that he can mansplain to somebody with a better credit score how to better manage their money? Not the asshole. Lots of divorces are caused by disagreements over finances. I'd caution you on marrying someone if you don't see eye to eye on finances, sex, or kids. Info. What is Ben contributing to your life other than terrible financial advice? Not the asshole. He needs to get his nose out of your financial business, especially since he is so adamant about keeping finances separate. Which, yeah, totally do that because he's the worrisome one here based on what you've written. Not the asshole. This whole post is one big red flag. He's telling you there is no future here unless you do it his way, which you are, in my opinion smartly, not going to do. Not the asshole. There are major financial red flags going up from him, and not only should you keep your financials separate, but you should consider if this relationship will work long term with his demanding nature about your finances, despite him wanting to keep them separate. Really think if his financial missteps are something you want to live with. Am I the asshole for watching and doing nothing to help my husband when he was extremely ill? My 27 female husband, Tim, 36 male, has a serious dairy allergy. I'm talking about an actual immune system reaction, not intolerance. His allergy is serious enough to cause acute enterocolitis, but he hasn't needed an EpiPen since he was a kid. I work full-time and also have some seasonal work this holiday season because Tim has been without work, and money has been very tight. As a result, I barely get to rest. The holiday are especially hard, and I found myself getting just one day off every 2 weeks for almost 2 months straight. As you can imagine, that day off means the universe to me. Now, Tim loves dairy, and will sometimes intentionally eat things which trigger his allergy. Lately, it's gotten out of hand, with him going from one risky meal every 4-6 months, to every 2 or so weeks. In fact, it always seemed to coincidentally line up with my time off, and I found myself spending my one day taking care of him. Last week, I finally asked him if he was intentionally timing it to line up with my day off. I fully expected him to say no, but he admitted that he was doing it to make sure that he'd have a nurse, and so he'd have someone close by in case he had an especially adverse reaction and needed a hospital. I was livid, and told him that he was selfish, robbing me of my rest. I said that if he made himself sick again, I wouldn't take care of him. I'm exhausted and I need to decompress. He didn't say much, so I thought he'd heard me. Fast forward to Friday night. I get home from work, and a few minutes in, Tim gets a pizza delivered. I ask him why, when I'm making dinner, and he shrugs. I ask if a large garlic Alfredo pizza is worth the pain, and remind him that I won't be giving up my rest day again. He smirks and eats an entire slice while grinning at me. I left it at that and went back to my dinner. Predictably, he got sick, profusely vomiting, retching and groaning from the intense cramping and diarrhea. I slept in the guest room to get away from the sound and smell. He called for me several times and I repeatedly told him no. Hours later, he was still sick and woke me up at the crack of dawn to go get him Pedialyte and meds because he was very dehydrated and still in pain. I told him to order it in and asked him to get out and let me sleep. He was still whimpering when I eventually got up to shower and eat. Again, I did nothing to help or comfort him. By evening, he was sulking, and by morning when I had to work, he was enraged. He yelled, and by the end of the day he'd told our friends and family that he nearly died and I neglected him. His family accused me of passively trying to kill him. His mom called, shouting that he could have had a life-threatening reaction due to my petty actions, and that I'm a shitwife for not minding his health. I'm starting to feel guilty because she's right and he could have been seriously hurt. Too long did not read. Am I the asshole for doing nothing to help my husband after he suffered an acute allergic reaction which he intentionally triggered? Not the asshole. You'd think on your only day off he would want to spend some actual time with you and not puking and crapping all day. I hope it was a wake-up call to him. Next time he eats that pizza smiling, grab your phone and take a video to send to his mom to let her know he's going to need her assistance tomorrow. Not the asshole, and reading this was honestly disturbing. This man is willing to risk his own life to manipulate you into taking care of him. Is that really someone you want to be married to? Not the asshole. Remind him and his family what his actions are saying. My desire to have dairy means more to me than my wife's health and rest. And I'd rather spend the one day off my wife and I share miserable and vomiting than spending time with her or taking care of her for once. He needs to know how horrible this behavior is and how disrespectful it is to you and your marriage. Not the asshole. He created this emergency. There are plenty of dairy alternatives and dairy-free cheeses. This seems more like he is harming himself to try to keep your attention and prevent you from having free time, and if that is the case, it's extremely manipulative. Also, calling you a shitwife for not mothering your husband is ridiculous. He's a grown-ass man. He is in charge of his own health. If anything, she is a bad mother for not teaching her son responsibility over himself. She didn't teach him to not eat food that actually poisons him. It is dairy for him, but replace dairy with any other typical poison and she should realize how ridiculous it is to insinuate that this is at all your responsibility. It wouldn't be your fault if he was habitually chugging bleach. This is no different. Info. Why not call his precious mother when he eats this way? You can simply say, he's eating a gigantic slice of Alfredo pizza. You might need to get over here before the symptoms start, and plan on spending all night. When she arrives, you leave for a hotel. Believe me, after a few all-nighters, she too will be not so eager to put up with his shenanigans. Seriously though, he needs serious mental health care if he refuses to stop doing this to himself and to you. Not the asshole. You noticed the pattern and confronted him. After he admitted it, you warned him that you would not be his nursemaid again, so he decided to do it anyway whilst giving you a shit-eating grin. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You warned him and you followed through. Setting his family on you makes him double the asshole and should have you considering if you actually want to stay with him, as he clearly has no respect for your time off or for you as a person. Hugs. Not the asshole. There are non-dairy options for everything, he needs to grow the fuck up. Not the asshole. And holy shit, this is a new level of psychological manipulation. Also, would his serious allergy justify calling an ambulance, or there are meds to deal with that? Am I the asshole for how I reacted after I discovered my husband left our daughter in dirty diaper for 4 hours? My husband, 35 male, and I, 32 male, been married for 3 years. We have a toddler and an infant. The problem is that he's helpless, there I said it. He doesn't have a job, spends his entire day on his phone or watching TV or playing on his latest console that I bought him with my money, or just chilling on the couch eating couch snacks. He doesn't cook, doesn't know how, and when I ask if he could help tidy up the house he'd be like, why? We having guests over. He does help, but it's the absolute bare minimum. For example, he'd unload the dishwasher or take the trash out, then go back to the couch while I cook, clean, get up with the baby. I tried taming, motivating him by offering him favorite snacks or drinks or buy something nice to get him to start helping more, but it's always the couch he goes back to. Then if I dare criticize his behavior, he'd go silent for a long time, 2-3 weeks. I hate it. I also suggested jobs for him so he could help since I pay for everything. He'd get excited, then misses the job interview every single time. It all came to head days ago when I went home and found that our 2-year-old, not potty trained, was left in dirty diaper for 4 hours even though her dad was home, but he was right there on the couch snoozing. When he said he planned to change the diaper, but until after his nap it felt like a switch that got turned inside me. I royally lost it on him. First I yelled at him to get up and he did, then I did the following. A. Had him clean up everything. The floor, the surfaces, the messy rooms, the messy bathroom, fix the broken lamps, do the dishes, take the trash out, pick up the toys and food leftovers all over the place, then vacuum. B. I moved the couch to the basement, confiscated his console, cancelled channel subscriptions, turned Wi-Fi off and changed the password and took his couch snacks. He watched while I did all that and in dismay he waved with the duster in his hand yelling this is abuse and he won't take it. I told him he had no right to talk about abuse after leaving our daughter in her dirty diaper while he naped. He completed all tasks I gave him but still argued that wasn't cool, that I thought it was okay to punish him and treat him like a dog. I refused to discuss it and said this is how it's gonna be from now on. He then went to stay with a friend, turned his location off and sent a text guilting me for how I treated him over a simple mistake. AITA. Edit. Info. He suffered from depression and handful of mental health problems throughout his 20s if this is relevant. Look, I don't want to discredit mental health issues and their massive impact on the individual, but not the asshole, but I would legitimately look into a divorce lawyer. This is so far past therapy. He's not a stay-at-home dad. He's a scrounger who neglects the children in his care. What is his actual worth as a partner? Not the asshole. Accept to yourself. He's not helpless. He's weaponized his incompetence against you so that you've learned to ask for essentially nothing. And it's worked, since he's got himself a partner who works, pays for everything, cooks, cleans, does the childcare and feeds him couch snacks. Why would he ever stop doing something that's worked out so well for him? For your and your kids' sake, leave his ass. Not the asshole. Change the locks and lawyer up. You don't have a husband. You have 3 kids. Not the asshole. Why are you with this guy? Does he have any redeeming factors? Why have you put up with this? I know you have 2 kids, but you are only 32. Unless he is going to do a complete 180, you need to think about if this is how you want to live the rest of your life. Not the asshole. This is not abuse. If he wants a console, he can get a job and buy one. If he wants to use the internet you pay for, he can do chores and earn the right to it. If he wants to call himself a husband or a father, he can start acting like one and not a potato with legs. Otherwise, you are pretty much better off without a freeloader like him. Not the asshole. It wasn't a simple mistake, it was child abuse. You didn't overreact at all. You waited too long and should have already kicked him out since he refuses to parent his children, work, cook or clean. Not the asshole. It was intentional. He knew the nappy needed changing. Why is he napping in the middle of the day as an adult? Who was watching the 2yo while he was napping? Could she not have been at more serious risk being left unattended while he was unjustifiably unconscious? Does he have any redeeming qualities at all? Not the asshole. Why the hell are you with this guy? At this point you're just a single father with 3 children and it's sad. You need to drop him. Am I the asshole for refusing to sell my half of the house to my ex-husband? I, 31F, and my now ex-husband, 35M, have recently gotten divorced after 12 years of marriage. We are joint owners on the house and he is demanding I sell my half to him so he and his girlfriend, 23F, can live together as they want to start trying for children. A little rundown on the situation. Despite 12 years of marriage we never had any children and we found out the fertility issue was on my end. I suggested we try adoption or a surrogate but he was against both options. Adoption because the kid wouldn't be his biologically and surrogate as he didn't like the idea of a stranger carrying his child so it left us at a stalemate and I was willing to accept we'd never have children. He however was not and he began to have an affair which led to the breakdown of our marriage. The house is one I picked and is my dream home. I love it but he insists that I sell him my half so he can start trying to have a family. Maybe it's spiteful of me but I'd sooner sell my half to a random on the street than him. I've suggested that I buy his half instead or that we just sell it and split the money but he refuses saying unlike me he needs this house if he's to have a family. Not the asshole, he was the one who had the affair. He wanted a new life so bad, he can go make one for himself. He is not entitled to anything. Fuck that noise. He has no right to make demands. Not the asshole. He doesn't need that house. He cheated, he gets no say in my book. Either he sells to you or you both sell. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, he cheated and he thinks he gets the house? Nope. Fuck him. I'd burn it down before I sold it to him, if I were you. Info. How was the house allocated in the divorce? The decree should include allocations of joint property and assets. Not the asshole, he can't make you sell your half to him. You offered to buy him out. You offered to sell the whole thing. But I say don't sell him your half, and do not move out. He had the affair, not you. You don't have to lose everything. No. Just no. Why is his girlfriend even okay with living in the house he shared with his wife of 12 years? So weird. Actually, I guess being so young is factoring into it. Anyway, not the asshole. INFO. Isn't this settled in the divorce? Because, well, the way you put it you would not be the asshole, as I very much doubt the house has anything to do with his ability to get his girlfriend pregnant. So I say he can have a kid and be a family without it. But if it was settled in the divorce that you should sell to him, no Reddit ruling is gonna get you out of that, and you would be the asshole for refusing something that is settled. Edited after answer to ad. Not the asshole.